Flyers fall for a sixth straight time, this time to the St. Louis Blues. Final score of 4-1. It wasn't a 4-1 hockey game, a couple empty net goals for St. Louis to salt this one away. And one of the traits, Bri, that has haunted the Flyers has haunted them yet again. They get the game tied in the third period. 42 seconds later, the game is not tied anymore. St. Louis gets home with 3 games of lead.
We were chatting about this on the way down here. I mean, I get that whole thing. It has been a problem. On this particular evening, I almost viewed it as more of a coincidence than anything. The Flyers had been basically trying to keep the doors shut the entire night. The Blues had been pretty much skating circles around them, and I don't mean that figuratively. I mean, that was happening a lot in this game, and there were a couple of occasions where St. Louis might have scored if they just made one fewer pass. So I don't view it in that particular instance like I do some of the others, but yeah, I mean, once you score a goal there, and you've got momentum at that point, and it's really unfortunate that it got taken away that quickly.
The amazing part is that was their first shot of the period.
Wow, I did not realize that.
Yeah, that was St. Louis's first shot of the period at 8:51.
That is nuts.
Yeah,
I mean, and again, that's a team that in the third period this year has been almost lights out. I mean, when you look at what they've done over the course of the season, they had only slightly outshot teams in the first period, but in the second and third, they were all over their opponents. They'd outscored their opponents 63-50 in the third period. We can't see the shots. There's a little bit of a glitch in the NHL system, but they had been a very, very solid third period team this year. So for the Flyers to do that in that third period kind of speaks volumes to the kind of game this actually was.
Yeah, and look, they came back from a one-goal deficit twice against Carolina, another team that's great in the third period, as good as they are, probably best in the NHL. And they come back here and they get it tied. And Mike didn't come out with his fourth line and third pairing after that. He came out with his top line, but St. Louis was all over him. Good low to high play to find Tarasenko, and he knows what to do with the puck when he gets it on a stick. And he just buried it.
Yeah.
And it ends up being the game winner for St. Louis. And, they move the record to 22-2 when they lead after 2 periods of play. And Flyers still stuck with that one when trailing after 2 periods of play.
It is, for whatever reason, it's hard to come back in this league from a second intermission deficit and hold it. We've seen the Flyers come back and erase those in third periods this year, but the other team's always been able to pull away.
Yeah,
and, that is the hallmark of. I wonder. I'm kind of curious if you have it, what St. Louis's record is in that situation, because that's what separates.
Trailing?
Yeah, when they're trailing, because that's what separates the elite from the rest of the pack in this league, is the teams that can overcome those situations at least 30% of the time.
That's exactly basically what they are. 3-8 on the regular season when trailing after 2
and obviously a team like this isn't going to be trailing a lot after 2 periods of play. So
smaller sample
size. It's not, it doesn't knock you off the floor when you see 3-8, but the fact is, of those 11 times when it does happen that they've been able to come back and get points on 3 of those occasions, that's 6 points in the grand scheme of things. And when they come down to the wire and they're fighting for position, those 6 points end up being huge.
Oh, absolutely. And when they go into the third period tied, they were 7-4. So you couple the tie with the lead, and you're looking at 27-6-6.
Right.
That's the big thing with the game kind of hanging in the balance, and they have some control. And ultimately, they get the win here against the Flyers tonight. One of the factors we talked about that we thought that could be a big factor in this game was the fact that Martin Jones was going on back-to-back days. Carter Hart's still not available today with that eye infection. So Mike Yeo goes to Martin Jones after playing just yesterday against the Carolina Hurricanes in that overtime loss. And despite the fact that he was going on back-to-back days, Martin Jones played a hell of a game.
The one thing that a lot of Flyers fans kind of lose track of when it comes to Martin Jones is that before he came to Philadelphia, he was the NHL's most used goaltender over about the last 5 years.
Yeah.
He had played more minutes than any goalie in the league since, I think, 2016 was the number. He was ahead of Connor Hellebuck, who I'm sure is now past him. He played a ton when he was with the San Jose Sharks. And that was kind of, when we were looking at this season coming in, we were looking at Ryan Ellis coming in and Rasmus Ristolainen, and we looked at Martin Jones as a guy that was going to be a good fit for the Flyers because he was going to be able to come in and not have to play, Superman minutes like he did in San Jose. So to see him come out and perform like he did tonight, I think it's a boon for the Flyers just from the standpoint of, again, we believe that he'll probably be on the move before the deadline. He just came out and demonstrated to all these teams that are going to be shopping for a goaltender at the deadline that he can go out there and handle minutes like that in a playoff situation should he need to do so.
Yeah, he battled tonight. He battled, very well for the team and gave them a chance in this game. It was 1-0 after 2 periods of play. Let's get to the BetRivers.com highlight reel. Real quick, shots were 26 aside. Flyers totally dominant in the faceoff circle, 36-18, 22-16 the hits in favor of the Flyers. But they headed into the third period down a goal because at 11:50 of the first period, Braden Shen opened the scoring to make it 1-0. No goals in the second. We pick it up in the third at 8:09 of the third period. Flyers get on the board. They tie the game when Oscar Lindblom picks up his 8th of the season.
Connecting up the right wing. He's got skating room into the St. Louis zone. Got a man coming late. Sanheim delays, turns out of the corner, never shot. Then got it back to the line. Oscar Lindblom, he scores! Lindblom covering the point for a pitching Sanheim, and Lindblom fires in his 8th of the year to tie the game at 1.
Yeah, Lindblom there, kind of a seeing eye shot from the point after. I thought Travis Sanheim had a really strong game. He jumps up into the play again, and he kind of pivots back, gets Lindblom the puck. He picks up his 8th, second goal in 2 days for Lindblom, and he now has tied his total from a year ago in that 56-game season with 8 goals on the season. Flyers get it tied, but as we talked about, the thing that has really hurt this team has been either getting the tying goal or taking the lead with a goal and then giving one up soon thereafter. Just 42 seconds later, the eventual game winner comes off the stick at 8:51 of Vladimir Tarasenko, his 19th of the season.
In the high zone, high slot, Tarasenko gave it up. Parenko into the right wing corner. Jam behind the net. Robert Thomas is centering pass. They get it right back. Tarasenko scores. How many times has it got to happen? Within a minute of tying the game, the Flyers give it right back. It's St. Louis with a 2-1 lead.
Yeah. How many times? I think it was 16 times last year. I'm not sure what the official count is this year, Bri. But, again, rears its head on them. And they work it low to high, get it to Tarasenko. He buries it, and that's the game winner.
I'm looking at this, the way this developed, and I was looking at it after it happened. And, the difference here, the difference in this goal going in and not going in is that Martin Jones is moving to his left at exactly the wrong time. The pad comes slightly off the ice. And, I again, to kind of defer to you, I'm just watching this, and it doesn't look like, how he meant to play it. Like something about this looks off, and I just don't know if there was something there that actually was off about that save attempt, or if that's just the way it turned out.
Yeah, I think it was a bit of a bizarre read because Tarasenko's lunging in a way.
Yeah.
So he can't get a real good read on it, and his legs aren't like flared and square. He's kind of like it was his right leg kind of underneath him a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it seemed like he just wasn't. He pushed off that right post as that low to high play happens, but he never really gets square to seal up all those holes down low. That's why you want to be down there, and because most times on a low to high play, that puck is coming in low, and he just doesn't get a good push to get that left pad down and sealed along the ice. Those shots are always going to come in low. That's why we take away the bottom third. That's why everybody goes, why are going on your knees? Because the percentage tells you to get on your knees.
And it's almost a kamikaze mission, too. It's Tarasenko coming in from up high. There was another Blues player there with a defenseman that was in front of Tarasenko, and I'm almost wondering if Jones wasn't expecting the puck to go to him.
Yeah.
Because Tarasenko kind of just comes out of nowhere here.
almost steals the pass.
Yeah, I mean, it missed the defenseman completely. And Isaac Ratcliffe darn near had him tied up, too. I mean, Ratcliffe was right there. You can't necessarily expect him to tie up a player like that. But, he was right there, and, he will learn from that. He'll remember that, and that's going to improve him in terms of his defensive play, no doubt.
Yeah, get in on his hands, take away his stick. That's the key part. And just unable to get the positioning and to put himself there to be able to do exactly that. And Tarasenko gets his 19th. Barbashev and Saad then pick up empty net goals. Final score 4-1 from here at Wells Fargo. So let's take a quick timeout, regroup. We'll be back. Flyers post-game show. That's Brian Smith, Jason Martinez. We'll be back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.
You're listening to the Flyers post-game show.
Want to feel the thrill of
Then hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Now back to the Flyers post-game show.
Back live from Largo Center. It is the post-game show. Flyers fall to the St. Louis Blues. 4-1, your final. 6 straight loss for the Flyers. And I got a guy here on the stream, Joey P, says that there's quite a few scouts here in Loveland, Colorado for the Colorado Eagles AHL game this past weekend versus Abbotsford. Teams are looking at Sherwood and other Eagles players as add-ins for a trade.
Well, here's the thing about Colorado and all the chatter that's going around with Claude Giroux and any other targets that Colorado might be looking to add for a playoff run. They don't have a first or a second-round pick in this draft.
Or a fourth.
So they're very slim. Well, they can just pull cap space out of thin air these days, I think, the way the LTIR is being used. But they don't have any draft picks, many draft picks. So if they're going to add a piece like a Giroux or anybody else that they might add out there, odds are they're going to have to throw in a prospect they already have. And
ready-made one.
A lot of guys are checking out the Colorado Eagles, which is their American League affiliate in Colorado Springs. They have a couple of promising guys in that picture right now, and you can bet that again you don't know for sure what's going to happen, but you'd be surprised, I think, if Joe Sakic didn't try to add one more piece to the mix there, and that almost to me guarantees that somebody from that roster is going to be moving to a new club here at the deadline. But of course, we'll have to wait and see what happens.
One of the things they were considering was, do we go with a forward or do we go with goalie? But they've really settled the goaltender position, and he's played really well out there for them of late. So, I mean, he's got like a 930 save percentage over the past couple of months. So that's been settled for him. Another guy on our stream, Selke, said, frustrating game because Flyers played really good tonight. I don't know if I would term it as really good. They hung in tonight. They clearly were a more tired team having played yesterday, I think. The shots were even, but I don't gauge a lot by that. But I looked at the team tonight as if they were, kind of a bend but don't break until they broke.
I mean, I think they were sharper yesterday. I think they were sharper in the Washington game. The last few games, they've looked good in the last 3 or 4 games, and they just don't have anything to show for it. And that makes it kind of even more frustrating. I was kind of wondering out loud, is it worse that it's happening like this, or would it be worse if they were getting their doors blown off? And I'm honestly not sure, because, again, like Timmy said, this is the third 6-game winless streak of the season, 6 or more. That hasn't happened since the 06-07 season, which, of course, we all try to forget as often as we possibly can. But, the thing about this 6-game streak is that through at least 4 of them, they have played well enough to win. They just have been kind of overpowered in certain aspects of the game. And, I think that would have been the case tonight if everybody was healthy on the team. And we were talking about a team that was – in a playoff spot right now. This was a strange situation with back-to-back and all that. The rested Blues team, I think they probably would have been trying to keep up with them anyway. Probably not to the extent that they had to tonight. But, again, we try not to celebrate moral victories too much. But, I think that group out there tonight, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions, did about as well as they possibly could against that team.
Yeah, and, I looked at it tonight like I looked at kind of the Carolina game and the Washington game, and to some extent that Pittsburgh game as well. And Chris on our stream asked the question. He said, do you guys feel like some of the Flyers players are, quote, mailing it in or maybe taking shifts off? And I don't. Over these last 4 games, I see a team that, is not up, obviously, at full strength from an injury standpoint, but certainly has not mailed it in. That's been battling their butt off, but just can't find a way to, again, in the pregame show, I termed it as, the dollar bill on the boardwalk on a fishing line that they keep, every time you bend over to pick it up, they reel it in and you can't get it. That's what a win is right now for this team. But I think they've been playing hard. I really do. Look, I think there's points in games where it doesn't look like guys are playing hard because the other team is dominating, but that's momentum in a flow sport, right?
Right.
I think we have to realize that momentum comes and goes. Yeah, it looked a lot like St. Louis had more of it because they had the puck more. But I didn't see anything where I didn't see any plays in this game where I go, oh boy, he just didn't work hard to get there.
Right.
There was a couple guys that I saw in particular I thought had really strong. I thought Travis Konechny was flying tonight. Travis Sanheim is a guy that I think's been playing really well, and all things considered. And I thought Ristolainen was good again tonight and was really good yesterday. Ivan Provorov right now, though, Bri, a -4 in the game today, and he is really struggling. And even with the -4, his most egregious play was one that didn't end up in the back of their net. He threw a blind backhand in his D-zone right up the middle, and it led to a scoring chance. They ended up shooting wide.
Yeah, I think his, it's as strange as it is to say, to a guy that's played 418 in our 19 NHL games, it almost looks like right now his confidence is a little shaken.
A little.
It's not like
you mean massively.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like he's playing. It is not a mailing it in thing. It is not a quitting thing.
No,
he looks bad, but not for that reason. There's There's a confidence issue there.
Yep.
And, again, to me, it almost dates back to the Washington game where he got poke checked behind the net, and it led to Washington's game-winning goal. That looks to me like it's graded on him, and he's had a little bit of trouble bouncing back from that, over the last couple of games, and almost feels like he's trying to do too much at certain times, and it results in things like that giveaway. It's hard to look at it and figure out exactly what you got to do, other than it's just a matter of try to have as short as memory as possible. Flyers now have 3 days off until they take the ice again against Washington. At least one of those days will be a complete off day. I'm guessing tomorrow, but I'm not sure. You just got to take a deep breath and just let's say, all right, we're going to forget about the last 2 weeks for Ivan Provorov and just settle down, look forward, and you get back to doing the little things right, and everything else will come.
Yeah, it looks to me like he's thinking too much on the ice.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you think, you almost paralyze yourself, and that's when you make those poor decisions like that backhand up the middle against Washington, and that backhand up the middle in the second period of this game.
I watched the power play at the end of the second period from the front row, and it's the first time I've been down that low in like 6 or 7 years. And I had forgotten that you don't have time to think. There, you have to be, it has to be second nature. You have to be in a state where the play that you make is the play you make because you've practiced it so many times, and it happens instinctively, just like you said. And that might be a little bit of what's ailing him right now, because if you think, then the next thing you know, you're being stripped of the puck, or you're making the wrong play. And the play that we were talking about in Washington, to me, is not necessarily his fault. It's a very, very good play by the Washington forecheck. Forced right in his blind spot. I believe it was Carl Hagelin, wasn't it?
It was.
Right in his blind spot. Couldn't see him at all. It was right between the shoulder blades. And then he swoops in at the last minute and makes that play. And, to me, I'm looking at it like, all right, how did I not know he was there? Like, I'm following my instincts there. I see Lawton coming in, wheeling down into the slot. And that's the play I should have made, and somehow it ends up in the back of our net. And then after that, you kind of start to second guess your instincts.
Yeah, he's got to get communication from a teammate there too to rim it.
Yeah.
That somebody's got to be telling him what he can't see.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if he did or was getting it or not.
Yeah, who knows? But you can't second guess your instincts, and it feels like there's a little bit of that in this game right now.
Yeah, and you saw the frustration after they gave up. Oh, excuse me, the fourth shorthanded goal or empty net goal.
Yeah,
he was fit to be tied. You got to talk for a second because I need to drink a water.
Yeah, I mean it was a fairly innocuous play, and he again. I think I don't remember if Timmy or Coatsy had said it, but it was almost like he looked right through Brandon Saad, didn't see him there.
Yeah.
And it's happened before. I mean, I get it. You get to a point where you're trying to do the right thing and you're trying to make the right play, and you see it and you think it's the right play, and then after you get it picked off, go the other way, you sitting there. It's like, how did I not see that guy?
Yeah.
I mean, again. It's a bang situation, and we were looking at his stats. -4 tonight. There's only been 15 games out of 418 or 419 where he's been a -3 or worse. It does not happen very often. So he's got what it takes to recover from it. Again, it's just a matter, I think, right now of let's get a day off. Let's get a couple days of practice. Let's forget about what's happened here in the last couple of weeks. Take a deep breath, move forward here with Washington, and just get settled back down.
Yeah, it'll be Washington. The homestand will continue. It opened with Washington, the 8-game homestand, and of course that's the game we were just referencing where Garnet Hathaway had those 2 goals to eventually give the Caps the win. We'll be back here Saturday. It's a doubleheader Saturday. We've got the Flyers in the afternoon, right?
Yes, 12:30 on Saturday for the Flyers, 7:30 for the Wings.
Okay, so a long day for us.
Make it a day of it. Stay here all day. Go over to Xfinity or hang out here in the East Food Hall and these lacrosse players are something else. I mean, it's astonishing to me the skill that you see in this game. So you really enjoy it if you want to make a day out of it on Saturday.
So the Flyers have lost now 19 of 21 games.
Details.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, there's only one game left in the month of February. And they have 2 wins in the calendar year 2022.
Yep.
They're on 2/22, 2002.
They came very close to going over January. They beat Los Angeles. And then
they opened up. They got a win on the last day of January and a win on the first day of February, and nothing since.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
that was the play, Mrs. Lincoln.
That stupid All-Star break broke their momentum, right?
Yeah.
But they've got again, a very tough home stretch here, and I don't really even want to call it a home stretch because it's 2 months long. But they play, I'm pretty sure, 30 games.
Yeah, and, 15 in March, 15 in April. Yeah.
Over the course of 2 months, basically a game every other day on average. There's some back-to-backs in there, so they do get a couple of days off here and there. But this is going to be obviously a tough homestand. It's the schedule itself doesn't help that the things are going this way right now, and then they have these guys roll along. But it's again, something that they've just got to play through. And again, these last 3 games especially, they've been right there. Last 4 games, they've been right there with their opponent, but haven't been able to find that killer instinct, so to speak. So hopefully that's still just around the corner.
So they'll wrap up February on Saturday afternoon and then open up March with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and now the resurgent 6-3-1 in their last 10 Edmonton Oilers heading to Wells Fargo Center. Then it'll be Minnesota, Chicago, and Vegas before they head out on the road and have to take on Florida and Carolina.
Yeah, and obviously March is going to be a very interesting month around here because we're going to see what happens with the roster and see what happens with the captain. And from there on, it's trying to evaluate where things are for next year. The hope, I believe, is still that at some point they can get Ryan Ellis back in the lineup and get more than a 4-game look at him. Yeah. Trying to figure out exactly where he is at. Timmy mentioned there's a possibility that Joel Farabee will be back on Saturday. So that could be a bit of a lift for the team. And again, they've got to figure out exactly where their priorities are going to be headed into the offseason. They're probably going to have to find a backup goaltender, and we don't know what's going to happen with Claude Giroux. That is probably, to me right now, the biggest question mark that we know of. Is, does he leave, and if he leaves, does he come back?
Yep. So, and March 21st is the NHL trade deadline. All right, let's wrap things up. Let's thank a few people before we get out of here. We start with our on-set engineer, Betsy Deming, our in-studio engineer. How about Pat Egan? Pat, who was on highlights tonight? Nat Marlowe on highlights back at the station. For Brian Smith, Tim Saunders, Steve Coates, I'm Jason Martinez. You've been listening to Philadelphia Flyers Hockey on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Good night, everybody.
All right, everybody. See you on the screen.